5, almost 5.5 of learning the accordion. I call it 5.5 because I had a really late upload this week. Actually, I have my week 6 training tonight, or practice tonight, and that's because it was just a busy weekend. I was out of town. I was in Cincinnati enjoying a beautiful Strauss ball, watching a lot of waltzes, and visiting friends down there. But this week for the accordion in week 5, we moved on to adding the note A. And let me say, this was quite a jump in difficulty for me because I was really used to just keeping these fingers on 5 notes, and now we're adding a 6th note. And so my teacher joked and she said, God only gave us 10 fingers, but there's 88 notes on a piano, and that'll change depending on size of the accordion, how many you have to learn to do that. And so the reason I think this gave me so much trouble is, number one, I've never played piano before, so I don't have that background. But the instruments that I have played, notes were just always the same no matter where they were. And so what I mean by that is when I played saxophone, this was always a D. This finger placement was never going to change the note that I was playing. But now we shifted my hand one note down the keyboard for the first song that we learned. And so my brain really had to adjust on that because, every time I'd see a note, the muscle memory was to flap down that correlating finger, but I could not think about that my hand was shifted. And so while I was practicing, and especially when I was sitting there trying to learn this, I did get a little lazy by just reading the finger placements, and that made more sense for me. But I know I need to grow fast past that. And now when I think about reading music, I don't know if I'm supposed to be reading distances between the notes, and that's how I should understand the piece, because it's always been correlated that when I read a note, this is where your fingers go, but that is changing now. So if anyone plays piano and ever thinks about how they read music, that would be cool to hear your insight. And the answer could just be, it's going to make sense after a while. Just play and practice. Don't think about it. And so that's what I was doing this week. The first song we learned with this A added is a song in Palmer Hughes called Dreaming. And my teacher was like, oh, just so you know, this is a German folk song. And so after playing it, it sounds very similar. There's a little bit difference from how familiar I am with it, but it's Du liegst mir am Herzen auf Deutsch. Also, here is Dreaming, Palmer Hughes. And then just really quickly at the end, I wanted to add in, I thought it was really interesting that the next song we went on to, titled The Indian Song, really shows how different of a sound the accordion can make. And so if you've been listening, or you've listened to accordion music before, and you can even listen to what I just played, this sounds so different just because the left hand is trying to mimic the sound of a drum, I guess is the way it was explained to me, but it has a really pulsating and such a different sound than, waltzy tunes that we played before, or even polka style or jingle bells. And it really shows the diversity of this instrument and why I think so many different cultures and peoples and songs have used this instrument in so many different ways. So here's a cool example to that. And then, like I said, I'm going off to practice tonight. We're probably going to add another note, so that will only be more fun. But I should have more time to practice this week than I did previously, so I hope I can pick that up a little faster. We'll see you next week for the update.